Hello, hi, this is Dane Nix here, Inky Thinkers, talking about Japanese fountain pens. A couple of folks have asked on my YouTube channel that maybe I show some of my collection, and I thought maybe I would today, as well as sharing how to repair a little bit different kind of a inkstop fountain pen that you find occasionally. That's a little bit different than the ones I talked about in my repairing inkstop fountain pens video some time back. So really what I'm going to talk about today is the early Japanese silver pens that I have a nice collection of them. I really enjoy them. And if you look in they're made by various makers. You find that Platinum had quite a few of them in a more recent, newer ones, more 60s and 70s. And then even Pilot had some nice silver pens with Maki-E on them early. I don't have anything like that. But I do have a number of pens that come from probably starting in the 1920s, maybe even a little bit earlier than that. And they have a different, almost all of them that I have a different inkstop mechanism than the Sakai pens that I talked about earlier. That they're similar but different in terms of how they work. So I'll talk about the pens first and show you some of those, and then I will actually show you how to restore the inkstop mechanism and the seal in an early, probably about 1920 pen. First of all, my source in terms of knowledge for these pens is the book Fountain Pens of Japan. And I have it opened here to some of the early silver pens. It's a little bit hard to see, I'm sure. But these are some pens that are made by the Push Company. And they're really nice. They have, engraved motifs on them. And I'll show you some of those that I have in my collection. But they have usually little engravings of butterflies and birds, sometimes insects. I've got one with an engraving of a sailboat, and one with a beautiful little moon scene that I'll show you as well. So a number of different companies have them. The SSS company, which I have a nice one that I'll talk about, which I have it here. One of SSS stands for San Esau, I believe it is. It was an interesting company. It was made early on, and they Hosanuma Shikai SSS San Esau. And, they, a lot of the pens that they have are marked SSS on the barrel and sometimes on the nib, not always. And they're actually a really major manufacturer in the early part of the 20th century. So I'll show you just a few of the pens that I've got in my silver collection. So this is a Platinum, and it's got a beautiful engraving of Mount Fuji. I actually got to climb Mount Fuji when I was in Japan quite a few years ago, and it's not for the faint of heart. For the Japanese, I'm told, and of course I'm not an expert on this, but that everybody, in Japan, everybody who's Japanese should climb Mount Fuji once in their life. And in fact, when I climbed it, we started out about 7 o'clock in the morning, and there were already people who had come back down. It was very difficult, about a 4-hour climb from where we were. Here is an SSS pen. It's heavily engraved. It's silver. It's marked silver on the barrel, and you can tell that on the clip it says SSS, and then it has a stainless steel SSS nib. This is pretty interesting. It's got a visual-aided section, and then it has an aerometric filler. This is a little bit later pen. Interestingly here, this pen doesn't look like it's ever had ink in it, which is sort of nice. It's one of my favorites that I have in my collection. Here's another heavily engraved pen, very much like the SSS. This is a platinum pen, and you'll see these with a couple of different clips. And in the book, the clip actually indicates what the age of the pen is when it was actually made. This is probably about the 1950s, I believe. It's got a nice platinum nib on it with a lever filler. That one has a pencil to match, which I really enjoy. And then a number of others. Here's a nice one with little birds. This might be a push pen. I'm not completely sure about that. They're not marked with the name of the company. On the clip it says pocket clip. Okay. And this is a inkstop pen. I haven't restored this one. It's got a nice 14 karat nib, ideal 14 karat. And once again, this has got little birds on it, and you sort of see flowers in the motif. And yeah, it's a nice pen. I like that one. This one, it's got almost the exact same clip on it. And it's it's a large fern, and it's actually got a signature, which you can see right there on the barrel. And this is probably has some kind of they maybe put a lacquer or some kind of a finish on it to maintain the silver. It's got a bird on the cap. Notice, very pretty pen. I love that that bird on there. And here's another pen that almost looks identical to the previous two. It's got that same kind of clip on it. And this one has got, as you can tell, butterflies and some flowers. I'm not seeing a signature, but that's okay. I still really enjoy it. Here's the butterfly on the top of the cap. And this one looks a little bit different, a little bit more streamlined. Still an eyedropper with the ink stop. And this one has, again, butterflies and floral motif. Notice. And just very pretty pen. The gold barrel band says R14K, which means it's rolled gold and not solid gold, although a couple of these do have a solid gold band. I'll show you that in a few minutes. Notice that this has a little bit different clip, and I believe that is actually in the book under push, which is sort of nice. Here's another one, same kind of clip on it. And again, it's got butterflies and floral motif of some sort. I'm not sure what kind of flower that is. I believe these more streamlined pens are from the late 40s, 50s. This one has a signature on it, which you can see right there. This one is a nice little pen. This one has actually the barrel band is the cap band is marked 14K. So you know, solid 14 karat gold on that cap band. This has a little bit different you know, top. It's a flat top pen. I think this one is earlier, probably 1920s. It's marked silver. Right there on the barrel. And then this one is really nice. It's got a little sailboat motif. And then it's got birds flying in the sky above it. This is also an inkstop pen. Notice it has a signature on it again, right there. I have no idea who did these. They're not listed like the Malkier artists are, at least not that I'm aware of. Here's another little pen. This is probably one of my favorites. This is quite a bit smaller, so notice the difference in size from these other pens. And this has a sort of it looks like water, and then it's got a moon in the sky. The band is marked 14 karat, so it's solid gold on the band, and the pen is in fact got a signature on it. Now this is interesting. The cap actually is a push on, push off, not a, and then it actually telescopes. So very cool little pen. It's got the over-under feed. Again, I think this one is probably 1920s, if not earlier. I have no idea who made it. The band says DR by DR or DH and Company. But very pretty pen. And then of course the cap and the barrel match up, and the flower or fern or whatever it is, extends upwards like that. I have a lot of silver pens from Japan, but I'll let it go at that right now in terms of showing off the pens that I've got. One other that is very nice. This is actually not silver. This is a sailor, and they make it in silver. I don't. This is actually, I think, steel or some other material. It's not marked silver, but it's got the hieroglyphs on it, and I have this in this material. This is a really nice and heavily collectible pen, and when it shows up in silver, which is very nice, it does get a good price online. Now, I've got two other pens I'm going to show you. These are, pretty sure that these are SSS pens. And these are very early. These are probably 1920 or earlier. And this one has a large floral motif on it. You can see the floral motif. And it's on both the cap and the barrel. Yeah, very nice pen. It's early. It's got 14 karat nib. It probably originally came with a over-under feed. I think this is probably SSS, or it could be somebody else, but it's got a signature on the barrel. See it right there. And a really nice pen. And then the longest one in the group is right here. And this is, I'm pretty sure, SSS. It's got the floral motif. It's got a little bird on the branch there, and you see a little bird on the branch again on the cap. And this one has seen some wear. It's got a couple of scratches on the barrel, on the silver. And it does have a signature on it. Let's see if I can find it. It's actually hidden a little bit higher. It's up there on the side of the barrel. See it right there? It almost fits in with the artwork. But I thought I'd show you how to take apart this pen. This one took me quite a while to restore. And I had to be very patient with it, of course, because I did not want to ruin a pen. So I'll take the cap off and set it aside. And it's got the ink stop again. This is, these early ones have a very different style. So it's got a little, ink stopper that fits up inside the section. And of course, when you shut it down, it shuts off the ink stop. This has got the over-under feed. It's got a 14 karat nib, which has seen better days. It's a little bit bent. And the feed has actually been broken. A piece of it's been broken off. It should go out to a point. And it actually comes out, and it's sort of interesting. The nib just fits inside that feed, comes out very easily. And then, it goes back in, and it's friction fit inside that section. So that's what that looks like. Now, the back end of the pen looks pretty similar to the other ink stops that I've talked about, that everybody has, a lot of folks have told me that they really appreciated my showing them how to restore the ink stop pens. And this pen is very similar to the others. The blind cap back here is reverse threaded, so you unscrew it clockwise. And it took me a long time to get this loose. I probably soaked it for a couple of weeks before it finally came loose. And I did not, in fact, break the back end of it, thank goodness. And then, of course, once you get that loose, you push it through. And there you have this very long ink stop. Now, this pen is much different than the Sakai pens that I've talked about and demonstrated. This does not have a threaded washer that simply unscrews from here. What this has is another kind of approach where this entire threaded piece comes loose. Now, again, it took me a little while to get that loose through soaking. And I use my hair dryer to actually, heat that and release it, and it did come through. So right now it's just finger tight. Usually, though, when I get those off, the first time it takes my piece of hose that I've cut and wrap around, and then with my pliers, very gingerly and very lightly grasp that, and then try to get that loose. I've got one that I've been working on now for a couple of weeks that just refuses to give, and that is difficult. So that comes through, and then notice this is what it looks like when you get that out. And the barrel itself is threaded, and you have to then actually form take a cork and get it to the right size and then fit it back in. I'm going to take this out to show you what that looks like. And if I can get it out, I think I can. There we go. It's coming. So this has a so now you can see that the cork, I've taken the cork out that I have already restored this with, and you have now a barrel. Now there's a little washer inside. Now most of these have lip on the inside that little hard rubber washer fits up against. It's got a hole in it. And if you actually take your screwdriver and stick it down inside of there, you'll see that little washer will just spin around. And that's what holds your cork in when you actually fashion that. Now, what do I use to make my corks? Well, I've got a great cork resource, and it's, of course, I enjoy a glass of wine every once in a while, and as many of us do, and that's what I use for my corks. And there's a couple of different approaches now. There are, corks made out of cork. But I really like these corks that are made out of I'm not sure just what kind of synthetic material it is, but it seems to work for the wine. So I feel like maybe it'll work for a pen. And so far, at least, it works in this particular pen. And what do? Well, I take my X-Acto and I cut just a thin section of material all the way around. And here's a couple that I've actually cut. You notice the thickness. It's maybe 2 or 3, maybe a centimeter and a half in width. And then what do I use to actually get my circle? Well, I got these online many years ago, and these are circular cutters. And the key here is that you always want to find a cutter that is larger in diameter than your pen. And this one is probably just right at it. So you go a little bit bigger. That one would probably work. And then you place it on a flat surface. And it's actually very simple just to push down and cut it out. And, the finished product looks like this, all right? And then what I do is, of course, I take my sharp and I, center it and I drive it through the material. And to actually get a little bit larger, then I'll take my Dremel with a very small drill bit and actually, drill that through. Now, it's going to be too large. I went a little bit large on the Dremel. So what do I do then? Well, then, and I actually got this from Osmond Sumer. He showed us how he was doing this. So I take this little Dremel piece. Now notice it's got the threads, screw threads on the end. And I simply, screw that into that piece. And then I put it in my Dremel and take a fingernail file and actually, rotate it. And then I simply sand that down, and I keep fitting it in until it reaches the size that I want it to be. And I want it to be a little bit tight. I don't want it to be loose, obviously, because if it's loose, then it's not going to, be watertight or ink tight when I actually do that. So when I put it back together. So so that's my my approach. Now, one of the things that I like to do, and I'm not sure everybody would agree with this, but I take a little O-ring, the same ones that I use on the ends of the Sakai pens that I've talked about, and I actually place that. I hollow out the piece a little bit, and I place that O-ring right in there. And I don't know if that helps or whatever, but I feel like maybe that'll help seal the pen a little bit more completely. I like to, when I put it back together, I like to utilize some grease. Let me get that. It's over in there. I use my pure silicone grease and take just a little bit of that and put it on the pen, on my seal here, on my cork. It's really not cork anymore, I guess. This one is this other material. I put it in. Now that's obviously I've done this already, so you know, I know that it fits. I know that it works. And I take a piece of pipe and I push that in. Okay. Now, need to wipe my fingers off because that silicone grease is um, very slippery. Okay, wipe that off. Now, of course, the final step is just putting it back together. Make sure you get the right end going right. Now, I put I like to put a little bit of material there to, and once again I've got to go back to my desk. I like to put a little shellac on there to seal that, just to, you know, give it a little shade. I don't need to use a lot. And you can put it right on the threads. And the nice thing about shellac is that it releases with heat. So if you want to take it back apart, as I did today, then all you have to do is hit it with your hair dryer, and that'll help it to come apart, help it to release. Now, okay, so I've got I actually line that up. All right. Then I take my ink stopper and I put it back through. Be careful because obviously, okay, so this one, as I said, I've done this before, so it's actually working very well. Okay, so then I put the end piece back on, the blind cap. Now, the last piece is exactly like working with the other pens I mentioned. You put your section in, and you take it down. Now, that's too far. You can see the gap there. So still a little bit too far. It's almost perfect. And then if it doesn't quite, if it gets a little bit more difficult and it's a little bit slippery right now, then I take my my piece of pipe rubber tubing and I grasp it with my plier, but very lightly. And okay. And that should be about right. Yeah, perfect. There's actually a very small gap there, but I will, you know, fix that here in just a few minutes. So then, of course, all you have to do is put the top back on. Now, one of the things that I like to do a lot of times is I'll take this then, and just to check it and make sure that it's ink tight, I will go ahead and you know, put water in it and seal it down. And I take the nib out, and then I actually, you know, shake it, see that when it's tightened down like that, that no water comes through, and that tells me that my ink stop is working effectively. So anyway, and interestingly, all of those old pens that I showed you, the early ones, have that kind of system. They do not have that threaded washer through the rear end of the pen, through the back end of the pen, and you have to actually, you know, undo that larger you know, threaded piece to actually get at the old cork, to remove the old cork. and allow you to restore the pen. So I hope this helps. I hope you enjoyed that. And I've got a pretty nice collection of Japanese fountain pens, and thought maybe I'd show you a few more of the pens. By the way, so here's some of the early. This is another SSS pen, like the one I mentioned earlier. And this one has a 14 karat gold ring on it, which is nice. I have not restored that one. Here's another SSS, different size. And notice it's got, that over-under feed once again. And another SSS. So I sort of like these. And I like, if I can get them, I like to buy them. Here's a different one. This is a platinum pen, and this was they had a 100-year anniversary some time back, and this is from, I think it's 1971, and this is a solid not sterling but silver pen. They usually used 100% silver on these. And this is a big, large, beautiful pen. I thought I'd just show you the difference between, this is the Parker 75, and this is the Platinum, and notice the difference. The Platinum pen is quite a bit larger than the Parker 75. So a very large pen, and it's got it says AU alloy on the nib, and I understand it's really white gold, but it's got some platinum in it. And they actually, on the 100-year anniversary, they reissued this pen, and they actually made a number of them in pure platinum, which was quite expensive, I understand. So really rather cool, and this is a nice pen. I really like this, one of my favorites. I've got a few more of the silver pens. You can see here, all of these over here in this section here are silver, and a few others, scattered throughout. I really enjoy the silver pens, especially those that are signed, like so many of those are that I showed you today. Anyway, if you have any questions or any comments, please leave them in the comments below. And if you have anything that you need to talk to me about or any questions you have for me, then my email is daynix@aol.com. So have a great day, and thanks for watching.